Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, March 26, 2021. More than 26,500 Jamaicans, including Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding, have received the first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus COVID-19 vaccine. This is the first of 2 doses, with the next to be administered within another 8 to 12 weeks. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dunstan Bryan, says those vaccinated, for the most part, comprise selected priority groups. They include healthcare workers, Jamaica Constabulary and Defence Force officers, and the elderly.
Of the total population, 55% of the persons vaccinated to date are in healthcare workers. The elderly, 11%, JDF and JCF are 32%, and we have 1.49% of persons that are outside of the group.
Some of the persons who were inoculated outside the priority groups were given the jab because of excess doses that were in the parish.
We have since resolved this issue, and we believe that we have cauterized this particular problem, and we now have a system in place with the call-out list where only persons within the specific groups that are being vaccinated are vaccinated at the time.
The Permanent Secretary was speaking during the weekly virtual COVID-19 Conversations press briefing on Tuesday. He said the number of vaccinations administered represents 94% of the ministry's target for the first week of the exercise and 91% for the second, ending on Tuesday. The government has set a target to inoculate 65% of the population by March 31, 2022. Meanwhile, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie is calling on Jamaicans to adhere to the COVID-19 measures to reduce the virus reproductive rate, which is a measure of its transmission or the number of new infections generated by each case. Dr. Bisesa-McKenzie noted that the virus reproductive rate is currently at 1.1, which means that each contagious person is infecting more than one other person. This is down from 1.3 in February due to restrictions in the heightened movement of persons following the Christmas season. She said younger persons within the age group 20 to 40 years who have the most positive cases and were still attending public and private gatherings are the super spreaders to the older and more vulnerable population.
Hence, the numbers that we are seeing with the 20 to 29 and the 30 to 39 having our largest numbers.
Dr. Bisesa-McKenzie warns of the consequences if the virus reproductive rate continues at 1.1 to 1.2, leading to the continued rise in COVID-19 cases.
The number of hospitalizations also increase, and the number of patients with severe, moderately ill, severely ill, critically ill patients also increase. So we have to decrease movements in order to ensure that we are able to get back below the capacity of our hospitals to respond.
Dr. Bisesa-McKenzie reminds persons to protect themselves from exposure to COVID-19 by adhering to the established infection prevention and control measures, including proper wearing of masks while in public and interacting with others, maintaining a distance of at least 6 feet from other persons, frequently washing and sanitizing hands, and avoiding group gatherings. In other health news, Cabinet has approved the award of a contract to Abbott Rapid DX International for the procurement of 4,000 determined HIV test kits for the National HIV STI program. Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams says this will cost $415,527.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness estimated in 2015 that there was HIV prevalence of 1.6% among the general population.
Minister Williams was speaking at a post-cabinet press briefing on Wednesday. The goal of the National HIV STI program is to reduce the transmission of new HIV infections while mitigating the impact of HIV/AIDS on Jamaicans. We now turn to justice. There has been an increase in the clearance rate for parish courts despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Chief Justice Brian Sykes says in 2020 the parish courts saw 37,000 cases for both criminal and civil, and after Jamaica recorded its first case of COVID-19, the courts offered emergency services only. While speaking at this week's virtual launch of the commissioning of senior judges of the parish court, the Chief Justice said during the first quarter of 2020, from January to March, The parish court clearance rate for criminal matters was 96.47%, and for civil matters, the gross clearance rate at the end of December 2020 was 93%.
In other words, during a major crisis, such as the COVID-19, the courts have shown great resilience and have actually improved their output and productivity.
The Chief Justice credited the achievement of the court clearance rate to the commitment of the judges and court staff to the delivery of justice to Jamaicans. The court clearance rate is measured in terms of the number of cases disposed of per 100 cases. Still on justice, the ministry will be intensifying efforts to deal with what is deemed as abusive methods by some parents and guardians in disciplining their children. This comes in light of growing concerns surrounding the connection between child abuse and the deviant behaviors exhibited by young people. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says government will be promoting the increased use of alternative dispute resolution (ADR) methods as part of measures to address the issue.
There are so many, not only anecdotal, but actual abuses of our children in the name of discipline. I think that children can be disciplined in a more humane and verbal manner rather than the harsh, punitive stick. I mean, you see children being beaten with wires, beaten with sticks. I mean, it is something that is absolutely outright assault and child abuse.
Minister Chuck also says the ministry is looking to work with the National Parenting Support Commission, NPSC, as a critical partner and going into communities to further roll out restorative justice, child diversion and mediation to address the issue of child abuse. He made the statement at a recent JIS think tank session. And finally, the Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry is advising all farmers and fishers that they are exempted from the heightened curfew orders, which will take effect tomorrow. In a release from the ministry, Minister Floyd Green says they have no intentions of impeding the farmers and fishers from carrying out their work. Last Sunday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced new curfew orders, with the measures beginning at 12 noon on Saturday and continuing until 5 a.m. on Monday, March 29. Similar orders have been imposed for the upcoming weekends until April 12. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.